My name is Ava Carter, and I'm 24 years old. 2 years ago, I walked 10 steps down my dorm hallway to fill up my water bottle, and by the next morning, I was being accused of trying to seduce someone else's boyfriend. She told people I was showing off, that I was doing it on purpose, that I wanted his attention. And the worst part? People actually started believing her. I apologized just to keep things calm. I stayed quiet when she mocked me. I ignored the whispers, the looks, the little laughs that followed me down the hallway, until my entire dorm got an email about inappropriate behavior. That's when I realized this wasn't just awkward anymore. I was being targeted, and if she wanted to turn me into the problem, then sooner or later I was going to show her what the actual problem looked like. But before I get into everything that happened, if you've ever been blamed for something that wasn't your fault, or had someone twist a completely normal situation into something ugly, just keep listening, because this one escalates fast. All right, let me take you back to that night. Around 11:30 p.m., it was one of those quiet dorm nights where everything feels slower, the kind where most people are either studying or pretending to study. My room was dimly lit, laptop open, some random show playing in the background that I wasn't really paying attention to. I was just lying there, scrolling through my phone, half aware of the noise outside. Doors opening, someone laughing down the hall, the soft drag of slippers against tile. Normal stuff. Comfortable, routine. And then I reached for my water bottle, and it was empty. I remember staring at it for a second, like, seriously? Because I had just filled it not that long ago. But whatever. The water fountain was literally right down the hall, like 10 steps, 15 if you walked slow. I wasn't leaving the building, wasn't going outside, wasn't seeing anyone, so I didn't think about it at all. I just got up, grabbed the bottle, and headed for the door. I was wearing a fitted white tank top and loose pajama shorts, no bra. And yeah, if someone really looked, they might notice the outline, but it wasn't see-through, it wasn't revealing, it was just comfortable. And more importantly, this was an all-girls floor. At least that's what it was supposed to be. I opened the door, stepped into the hallway, and immediately felt that shift in atmosphere. Not wrong, just noticeable. A few doors were open. There was a small group of girls gathered near one of the rooms, talking, laughing. One of them was sitting on the floor, another leaning against the wall. It looked like one of those casual late-night hangouts. Nothing unusual. I glanced over for a second, gave a small, polite smile, and kept walking. No one said anything, no one stopped me. No weird comments, no tension. Nothing. Just normal. I reached the water fountain, pressed the button, waited for the bottle to fill, that low humming sound echoing slightly in the quiet hallway. I remember looking down at the stream of water, already thinking about going back to my room, getting back into bed, forgetting about everything. It took maybe 20 seconds, 30 max. Then I turned around, walked back, past the same group, same energy, same silence, same nothing. And that should have been it. It should have ended right there. Just another forgettable moment in a dorm hallway. But about 30 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. And I remember just freezing for a second. Like, who would be knocking this late? I wasn't expecting anyone. I paused my show, slid my phone onto the bed, and just sat there for a second, listening. Another knock. A little firmer this time. Okay, coming, I called out, even though my voice sounded a little unsure. I got up, walked over, and opened the door. And the second I saw who it was, I don't know, something about it just felt off. It was one of the girls from the hallway, the same group I had walked past like 30 minutes earlier. She was standing there with this tight, almost forced smile, the kind where you can tell someone's trying to be polite, but they're also uncomfortable. Hey, she started, kind of shifting her weight. And right there, I already had that feeling in my stomach, like, yeah, this isn't going to be a normal conversation. She glanced down the hallway for a second, then back at me. Hey, I'm really sorry. This is like kind of awkward to ask, but I just nodded a little. Yeah? And then she said it. Could you maybe wear a bra if you're going to be in the hallway? I blinked, like actually blinked, because for a second I genuinely thought I misheard her. Sorry, what? I said before I could stop myself. And she quickly added, it's just my boyfriend's here and he was kind of staring, so there was this pause. And I swear, in that moment, my brain just kind of stalled because I was trying to process what she just said. Her boyfriend on an all-girls floor? And also, why is that somehow my responsibility? I mean, I hadn't left the building. I wasn't dressed up. I wasn't doing anything. I walked 10 steps, filled my water bottle, came back. That's it. And now I'm standing here being told to change what I wear in my own dorm hallway because someone else couldn't, what, look away? And I could feel it, like this small wave of irritation building up under my chest. But at the same time, I hate confrontation. Like, I really hate it. So instead of saying what I was actually thinking, I just kind of nodded and gave this small, awkward smile. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry about that. And even as I said it, there was this voice in my head going, wait, why are you apologizing? But it was already out. She relaxed a little, like that fixed everything. She said, thanks, I appreciate it, and then just walked away. And I stood there for a second before slowly closing the door, just staring at it. Because I didn't even know how to feel. It wasn't like I was embarrassed exactly. It was more like confused and a little annoyed, but also weirdly guilty, even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. And that part bothered me the most. I went back to my bed, sat down, and just kind of stared at my laptop screen without pressing play again. Because now I was replaying everything in my head. What I was wearing, how I walked, if I looked at anyone too long, if I did something without realizing it. And I hate that. I hate that feeling of second-guessing yourself over something that didn't even feel like a big deal at the time. But still, that night, every time I left my room after that, I put on a hoodie or a bra or something. Not because I agreed with her, but because I didn't want any more awkward situations. I didn't want drama. I just wanted things to feel normal again. And honestly, I thought that was it. Like, okay, weird interaction, whatever, it's done now. I handled it. I apologized, it's over. Right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Until the next day. Until the next day. I woke up to the sound of my roommate moving around, drawers opening and closing, her phone buzzing on the desk. At first, everything felt normal, like maybe I had overthought the whole thing the night before. Maybe it was just one awkward interaction, and that was it. But then she turned to me and said, hey, don't get mad, but I heard something in the bathroom. And I swear, my stomach just dropped, like instantly. I sat up a little. Heard what? She hesitated for a second, like she was deciding how much to say. Okay, so that girl, the one who came to your door? I nodded slowly. She was in there with a couple of her friends, and she was talking about you. There was this silence, and I could already feel it, like this tight feeling in my chest building up. What did she say? I asked, and my roommate just kind of exhaled and went, she wasn't telling it like what actually happened. I felt my jaw tighten a little. then what was she saying? And that's when it got bad. She was saying you were like taking your time at the water fountain, that you knew her boyfriend was there and you were trying to get his attention. I just stared at her because for a second, it didn't even make sense. Like my brain couldn't connect that version of the story to what actually happened. She said you were basically wearing nothing, my roommate added quietly, and that you were like showing off. I let out this small, disbelieving laugh. Are you serious? I wish I wasn't, she said. And Ava, she was literally acting it out. What? Like at the sink, pretending to be you. And that's when something in me shifted. Because now it wasn't just awkward. It wasn't just a weird conversation at my door. She turned me into a joke, something people could laugh at, something people could watch. And suddenly, everything from the night before felt different. The way she smiled, the way she said it was awkward, the way she made it sound like a small request. It wasn't small. It was the start of something. And I didn't even realize it at the time. That whole day, I felt off. Like every time I stepped into the hallway, I was suddenly aware of everything. What I was wearing, who was looking, whether people were whispering. And I hated it. That night, I went to brush my teeth. Same routine, same hallway. I was already in pajamas, tank top, no bra, loose shorts. I remember standing there for a second before opening my door like, do I change? Do I actually have to think about this now? And then I just kind of shook it off. No, I didn't do anything wrong. So I stepped out. And as I walked past her room, I saw her, sitting there with a couple of her friends. The second I came into view, things got quiet. Not fully silent, just that subtle shift. And then she looked at me. Not at my face, at my chest. Slowly, deliberately. And then she looked back at her friends, and they all started giggling. Not loud, not obvious, just enough. Just enough to make sure I heard it. And I felt it, that heat in your face when you know people are laughing at you. That mix of embarrassment and anger that just kind of sits there. And for a second, I thought about saying something. I really did. But instead, I just kept walking. Because I knew if I stopped, it would turn into something bigger. And I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. But the next morning, that's when everything snapped into place. I woke up, grabbed my phone, and saw an email from the RA. Subject line, reminder, appropriate attire in common areas. And I just stared at it. Before even opening it, I already knew. I opened it anyway. And yeah, there it was. Anonymous complaints. Dressing inappropriately, please make sure you are properly covered in shared spaces. I actually felt my chest tighten reading it, because now it wasn't just whispers, it wasn't just giggling behind my back. Now it was official. Now it was public. And even though my name wasn't in it, it might as well have been. That's when it hit me, clear as anything. This wasn't random. This was targeted. And I just sat there on my bed, staring at the screen like, are you serious? I walked 10 steps to get water. That's it. And somehow I ended up being turned into this. And I don't know, something in me just changed in that moment. Not in a loud way, not in a dramatic yelling kind of way, just quiet clarity. Because I hadn't done anything wrong, but she had. And then I remembered something. Her boyfriend? He didn't go here. I knew that for a fact. We had talked during orientation weeks earlier. And I also knew something else. Because of the rules that year, no off-campus guests were allowed in the dorms. At all. And on top of that,
Masks were supposed to be worn in the hallways, which he definitely wasn't doing. And suddenly, everything just lined up. She had problem with me existing in my own space, but she had no problem breaking actual rules. So that night, I opened my laptop, pulled up the dorm website, and found the anonymous complaint form, the same kind she probably used. I just sat there for a second, thinking, because I didn't want to exaggerate. I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to turn into what she was. So I didn't. I just typed the truth, that there were off-campus guests being brought into the dorms, that masks weren't being followed. No names, no drama, just facts. And then I hovered over the submit button for a second. And yeah, I clicked it, closed my laptop, and went to bed, not really expecting anything to come of it. But the next morning, another email from the RA, and this one felt different, stricter, more direct. Due to recent complaints, we will now be actively enforcing the no off-campus guests policy. IDs will be checked. Anyone not authorized will be removed. I read it once, then again, and slowly I leaned back in my chair because I already knew what that meant. No more boyfriend in the hallway. No more staring. No more audience. Just gone. And the best part? I didn't have to argue. I didn't have to defend myself. I didn't have to explain anything. Everything just corrected itself, quietly. So yeah, if she was that worried about her boyfriend seeing the outline of my tank top, she doesn't have to worry anymore. And honestly, that whole situation taught me something. People will project their own insecurities onto you and try to make it your problem, but it's not. You're allowed to exist comfortably in your own space. You're allowed to just be. And sometimes, the best response isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's just precise and effective. So yeah, that's what happened. And now I'm actually curious. What would you have done? Would you have ignored it, confronted her, or done exactly what I did? Let me know. And if you enjoy stories like this, real, messy, kind of unbelievable, you can subscribe, stick around. I've got a lot more coming. Trust me.